On today's episode, you'll hear from two college students juggling school, sports, and racing, all while building a NASCAR brand from scratch using smart marketing and some serious hustle. This is the Be a Marketer podcast.
Be a Marketer.
My name is Dave Charest, Director of Small Business Success at Constant Contact, and I help small business owners like you make sense of online marketing. And on this podcast, we'll explore what it really takes to market your business, even if marketing's not your thing. No jargon, no hype, just real stories to inspire you and practical advice you can act on. So remember, friend, you can be a marketer, and at Constant Contact, we're here to help. Well, hello, friend, and thanks for joining us for another episode of the Be a Marketer podcast. Can't do it without her. Kelsey Carter's here behind the mic. Hi, Kelsey.
Hi, Dave.
Good to see you as always.
So good to see you.
You know, we've been having all of these amazing conversations, of course. We're up over 100 of these episodes now, and time again, often a term that gets thrown around with small business owners is resilience. But I think there's something else that I've noticed, that it's a special breed of people, and they're also very driven. And that means you have to, I always say to my girls sometimes, I'm like, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do. It's not the thing that you're going to be doing forever, but it's the thing that gets you to that next step. And sometimes, it might be something you don't like. It might be something you don't want to do, but you do it because you know and you see through the other side of that a goal is going to be accomplished if you do the thing. One of the things that we see with small business owners, even just thinking of like the things that we do day to day, right? I think we do it devoid of some of that pressure, bearing the responsibility of paying employees and doing things like that. But really, there's so many things to juggle when you think about what you got to do, particularly as a business owner, right? And then particularly in your role, right? You've got to do all of these things that actually make, just these episodes happen, for example. You ever have one of those days, I'm sure you have them, right? Where you're just like, oh my God, how am I going to get all of this stuff done?
Oh, yeah. Sometimes my to-do list looks a little too long where I'm just like, I don't think there's enough hours in this day.
But what do, right? You figure out, you prioritize, we connect, right? What do you really need me to do right now? Like, it's just the things that you do to get it done. And I often look at this, I'm excited about our conversation here today because one of the things that did strike me, and you're going to, of course, you'll get the tie to this word here a little bit as we start to talk about it, but driven. Imagine trying to do all those things while you're trying to build a brand in a really competitive space. And it's a good reminder that when you're really driven, you find a way to make it happen, even with your marketing. And so, Kelsey, what can you tell us about our guests today?
Today's guests are Jayson Alexander and Shane DiMantova. Jayson Alexander Racing, which is based in Charlotte, North Carolina. Jayson is the founder and driver. Yes, he's actually the driver and races NASCAR. And he proudly serves as the director of Left Turns. Shane is the director of PR and social media, so he helps manage everything from content calendars to email campaigns. So together, they're building a NASCAR brand that stands out by staying consistent, connected, and fan-focused, even while balancing school, lacrosse, and military service.
Yeah, this is an episode about more than just race cars. It's about that determination, focus, and really the will to succeed. Jayson and Shane's journey into NASCAR shows how being driven, both literally and figuratively, can really power a small brand into a nationally recognized name. On our episode today, you're going to hear how two college students turned a racing dream into a thriving business using smart segmentation and content planning, the surprising ways they use Constant Contact to grow fan loyalty, drive merch sales, and keep sponsors engaged even during off weeks, and then why consistency and planning, especially with limited time, I'm sure we can all relate there, are really the keys to standing out in a crowded market. We'll also hear, Kelsey, that video games seem to be the gateway to NASCAR.
Hey, listen, I saw a little glimmer of hope in my eye where I was just like, Kelsey Carter, NASCAR?
I know. I was like, all those years of Mario Kart are finally going to pay off maybe if I shift my focus a little bit. But let's go to Jayson to hear more about how he got his start in professional racing.
The usual way to get into racing, and specifically NASCAR, is you start as a young kid and you do what's called go-karts, and you run go-karts until you get old enough, till you start moving up to bigger and bigger cars, till you start eventually working your way through the pipeline. So I know a lot of people that started 4, 5, 6 years old started racing. Well, for me, I wasn't doing any of that type of racing. The most racing experience I had growing up was just playing some racing video games. I had a little makeshift wheel back on the PlayStation 2. That's where I got my first start, was just running old racing games like Gran Turismo and stuff like that. And I wasn't like necessarily good or anything, but it was just something that I really, really enjoyed to do. Then, as I got older and kind of got into more computer style games, I discovered a service called iRacing, which is kind of where all the NASCAR teams and professional racers use to practice when they're not at the track. So, I discovered that program, and I started racing in that throughout, high school. And as I got into college, I decided that maybe something could be happening with racing. Maybe it's still a career I could pursue. There was a couple, different drivers who started later on in life and then went into racing. So I knew it wasn't impossible. It would just be, kind of a harder challenge to get into. And I just didn't necessarily knew the pathway to get into racing. So when I ended up choosing to go to school at Queen's University of Charlotte to play lacrosse there, Charlotte is the capital of all things NASCAR. That's where pretty much 90% of the teams are based. It's right in that area. That's where, NASCAR, the whole of NASCAR is. So kind of in the back of my mind, I knew that if I could get to Charlotte, I could try and figure out a way how I could at least get into the NASCAR industry. I always wanted to be a driver, but I didn't know if that would specifically be the most feasible thing to happen. So when I got to school as a freshman, I ended up reaching out to a bunch of different teams just to see if I can become an intern inside the race shops, just kind of learn like how a race team works and, the inner workings of it. So I started working and interning with a team. I interned with them for about a year. And basically my job was to sweep floors or, clean up the cars, take out the trash, clean the bathrooms, all the grunt work that you could do as an intern. I was doing it. But, I would be able to listen in on business meetings and meet drivers, kind of learn more of the inner working of the business till, I finally got to the point where I really wanted to drive, and I really wanted to see if this is something that I could do. I was very successful on the sim racing side. So I thought, why not give myself a chance and see if I could do this once and for all. So I went through and I reached out to as many teams as I could think of, begging for them just to give me a shot. And finally one got back to me, and, they said they could take a race car out to a local track and see if we could do a test day there. So eventually what I did was I did a test day by myself at a place called Hickory Motor Speedway, which is the birthplace of NASCAR stars. It's a super rough, all original surface in Hickory, North Carolina. That's where, the legends have made their names. So thrown right into the ring right away, went there, and I hopped right into a car, what's called a Pro Late model. So I mentioned, a lot of kids start their careers, racing go-karts. Eventually, when they're, 18, 19, 20 years old, the Pro Late models and the late model stocks is kind of that last stepping stone before they hop into NASCAR. These are big, full-size race cars, lots of horsepower, very little grip, very, very competitive series. So you usually never see someone jump straight from the sim into a Pro Late model. It's kind of like a crazy thing to do. It's like becoming a football fan and then just hopping off the couch and joining a professional team. It's not usually how it works, but I decided we're just gonna go out there and send it and see if it'll stick. So I did my test day at Hickory. It went really well to the point where I ended up getting offered a NASCAR developmental contract with that team, to where I ended up driving with that team for the next 2 seasons. But again, racing is super expensive. I didn't necessarily have, all the money myself. So to pay for my racing and to pay for myself to get into the seat, I used kind of a lot of the skills that I had in business and marketing, with me being, a business marketing student in college. And I originally started for this team where I would sell sponsorship for the team, and I would use commission from that, from sponsorship selling for them. And I'd use it to put myself in the car. Eventually I got good enough to that to where I ended up breaking off and forming my own business called the Premier Performance Group, which is something else I do besides Jayson Alexander Racing, where we represent NASCAR drivers all the way from the top series down to the bottom, where we negotiate team deals with them, find them sponsors, help them throughout their careers. And I started that when I was lower down in racing, to where, the return on the investment wasn't necessarily there for a lot of companies. So I would sell for a lot of these big drivers and then take my commissions to continue, put myself into the seat, and then got to race a bunch, got really, really good, had some great opportunities to the point when NASCAR teams started calling. And now here I am racing a NASCAR, long story short.
Love it. Shane, I'm curious from you. You're also a student athlete at Queen's University of Charlotte. You're studying sports management. You've got a freelance design business. How'd you get involved with Jayson Alexander Racing?
Yeah, so meeting Jayson was definitely a really interesting experience. So I guess kind of going back, getting myself into racing, my family wasn't a racing fan or like a racing family growing up. Like my dad would occasionally have it on the TV, but I'd be like, as a kid, I'd be like, what is this? Like, this is boring. Like, can we please just change to the channel and put something else on? And so I think it was around fifth grade. I was at GameStop, remember, with my family. I don't know why I remember this so clearly. And I'm looking at the games and I just see NASCAR on the shelf. And I was like, man, that looks awesome. So I get my mom to buy it for me and go home and I just start playing it 24/7 and end up just getting myself absolutely like in love with racing. I'd watch the races every weekend. And so I kind of got my interest in racing started. And by the time I came around, to get into college and kind of choosing a major, I mean, I couldn't think of anything else to do. I've been around sports my whole life. I played ice hockey and obviously just my passion for racing. So I'm like, why don't I just go to school in Charlotte, North Carolina, like Jayson said, the hub of everything NASCAR, and try to get into racing with that. So went into my freshman year at Queen's University of Charlotte, and I just remember them posting on Instagram, the school's account, about some guy, really tall guy on the lacrosse team, for some reason racing in NASCAR. And I was like, man, like that's really interesting. I wonder who this guy is. So I remember I followed Jayson on Instagram, and then a few months later, I kind of made like a design, kind of like a paint scheme with like the school and the stuff like that. Be like, hey, like remember I tweeted out being like, hey, like wouldn't it be cool to like see a car that a Queen student made that a Queen student could drive that Queen's is sponsoring? And Jayson messaged me back like minutes later, like, dude, this is awesome. Who are you? Like, I'd love to get connected with you and kind of start working with you together. And so I remember we went to lunch and kind of talked through everything, like talked about our lives and how we got into racing. And we've just hit it off ever since. And we're a great duo. We're like Shaq and Kobe out there. So I'm really glad I met this guy. And it's really, really awesome being a part of him. And he's introduced so many different doors for me, and I've met so many different people. So, I mean, I wanted to get into racing, heading to school and going to Queen's University of Charlotte, and I definitely got right in the middle of it.
Awesome. So, Jayson, I'm curious from you, like, what do you love most about the business side of Jayson Alexander Racing?
I think it's really unique seeing how everything comes together. Because I started out racing and learning the business side is how I got my way into racing. All the behind the scenes that happens just to get a car to the track is what is super, super exciting for me. You know, from starting off from, first getting an offer from a team and getting a chance saying, hey, we want you to come drive our car. Like that's an awesome opportunity to then going out there and finding a partner and sponsor that wants to come on board for that race. And then going out and figuring out, what's the plan to activate that sponsorship and how can we both make it benefit both sides of the party? And then figuring out, with this sponsorship, what are we able to do? And now I have my team. I have Shane as a bunch of the members, part of Jayson Alexander Racing, and all these people that come together to try and make one cohesive unit, whether it's booking flights last second or sprinting across the airport because, you're about to miss that flight, last second deals. It's, getting a call, whether it's you're stepping out and you're going to be out for the next couple months and someone else has to step in and kind of run the business for you. There's over the past, month and a half, Shane has had to take over and run all of Jayson Alexander Racing, basically from managing the staff that works there to managing, the deals that we have coming up in the races to then, negotiating with the team and making sure, everything we have is going to be at the track. There's so much more than just showing up and driving. We have everything we have the social media side, we have the sponsorship side, we have the marketing side. All these cohesive units come together to kind of, create it. I would say I'm just one small part of it, but we have a whole team that kind of works with us to kind of make sure everything we do is very seamless from off the track to the track.
Shane, how about you? What are you finding most enjoyable about your role?
Yeah, I definitely when I met Jayson, he was still racing in late models. So kind of just watching him kind of rise up and gain popularity and race against better competition. That's been really cool. And just getting his overall name out there. Racing at local tracks, obviously it's not the most, doesn't get the most attention. It's not on national television compared to ARCA where we are now, and hopefully getting into trucks and stuff like that into the future. So kind of see him start at that local level. And then now over thousands of people, many more knowing him and watching him race on national television just is really, really cool. And just being a part of that experience of watching our success happen firsthand.
I want to transition just a little bit into the kind of just thinking about the marketing stuff that you guys are doing and thinking about marketing the business. And so the question is in regards to marketing, particularly since you both are in school, I'm curious as to what are you learning in school? What are you learning there that you're starting to apply in the real world? how is that transition, right? There's a difference between kind of learning about it and then actually doing it. So whoever wants to jump in first on that.
I would say being, I'm a business administration student with a concentration in marketing. So I've had the lucky chance to take a lot of marketing classes through my time at Queens. And I would say a lot of it has translated over to what I'm seeing now, trying to market when it comes to inside of our business and everything that we do. One of the immediate things, first things that I learned about, was segmentation. And I never understood how I could segment a market when it came into racing until I started trying to do it myself. I haven't talked about it too much, but through like the help of Constant Contact, like now with a lot of tools that are there available, you kind of can understand how you can segment who you're reaching out to, why you're reaching out to them, what you're doing. Because inside of Jayson Alexander Racing, we have two different things. We have the brand side and connecting with the fans and the supporters of NASCAR. And then you have the sponsorship side and working with the businesses and trying to activate it that way. So being able to actually understand like who you're speaking to, who you're segmenting to in that moment, is that, are you talking to the fans or are you trying to look out and reach for more partners, and be able to kind of separate those and create separate plans and campaigns for those to excel has been one of the biggest things that I've seen within, marketing that has translated, as well as, how to use marketing dollars and how to make sure, what you're doing instead of marketing is following the plan and building it out. It can't just be, I'll just throw something out there and hope it sticks. No, it's like building out to the exact dollar value. Like, what are we going to do with this marketing plan? Like, what is our goal for the outreach? What is this? What are we planning for? That's something that without, taking my marketing classes, I wouldn't really understand. A lot of things in marketing you only think of as impressions. But now I'm kind of realizing is like, where are we in placing those impressions? How are we searching for these people? What is our actual goal for this outreach? And that's something that I found is really helpful from the classes I've had back at school.
Yeah. Shane, how about you? What are you kind of taking into this?
Yeah, definitely as a sports management student, I feel like most people think of sports as like stick and ball and that kind of stuff, but I'm definitely can apply some of that into racing. I guess one kind of big thing is like, obviously they teach you like not to burn a bridge. And I think that's definitely really apparent in the sports industry. And so just kind of building these connections and like, especially racing, it's a really tight knit community and everybody knows everybody. So that's really been something I've really applied to that. And I've learned a lot. Another thing that I've learned is kind of just like the consumer aspect of it and fan outreach, making sure fans like get to experience what they want to experience, like with your brand. So like with us specifically, we want them to know who Jayson is, like kind of know his story and like kind of make that connection with him. So I feel like that's really huge. And then also one big thing is marketing. Jayson kind of talked about that already, but like learning marketing, I guess in school I'm learning specifically about like sports teams and stuff like that, but I can definitely apply some of the lessons into racing and kind of with outreach and media and fans and just the overall community with that.
Yeah. I like one of the things you just said that I think really kind of sums it up for whatever industry that you're in, right? Is a lot of times it's really just boils down to those relationships, whether that's relationships you build with your sponsors, the relationships you build with your fans, and the relations you build within the industry, right? Because all of those things and keeping up with those relationships are the things that are going to really propel you and get you to that next level. I want to talk through some of the goals that, as we've been meeting you and working with you guys, like some of the goals that you have. And so I want to talk through some of these marketing objectives. And so I'll list them here first, and then we can kind of think about and talk a little bit more about them. But the four that I think have been important to you all for Jayson Alexander Racing has been: one, building brand awareness for Jayson Alexander Racing, growing the JAR fan base and following, securing additional sponsors for JAR, and generating revenue with JAR merchandise. So maybe if we start with building brand awareness and Jayson Alexander Racing, like what are you guys thinking there, just in terms of like what it is that you're trying to do there?
I definitely think that's something huge we've kind of implemented on social media. Themes and colors, like that constant contact blue, the same hashtags, tags, stuff like that. So keeping it consistent there, so when people see it right away, they know it's Jayson Alexander Racing, constant contact. So kind of building that connection there.
Jayson, for you, so what are you thinking there when you're thinking about building that brand awareness?
For us, a big thing is we don't race on a full-time schedule. We have a lot of playing lacrosse. Being in the military means that we have a really small and condensed schedule, and sometimes we don't have the funding to go to every single track. So for us, a lot of our brand awareness is making sure, even though if we're not at a track, doesn't mean we still can't engage with the fans, doesn't mean we still can't grow that fan base. So like what Shane has said, like the way we've tried to integrate, again, the constant contact blue and Jayson Alexander Racing and make that one and the same, it's something that goes back to me is really successful drivers and really successful teams are known in conjunction with their sponsors. So I think back to a really big driver by the name of Kyle Busch. His big sponsor was M&M's. He was the M&M's car for years, and that's what a lot of people remember him by. That's something that we try and do one and the same. So all of our posts all revolve around that. So where, when fans are talking to me, they remember me as the constant contact guy. Oh yeah, you're the constant contact guy. You're that. I want to make sure that's one and the same, especially that, if we're not at the track every single weekend, that brand awareness doesn't fall off. So you can see that, in our weekly posts or, our weekly newsletters, putting out videos, engaging with fans, doing giveaways. So, even when we're not at the track, we still try and build it up as much as possible. So that's been kind of the biggest thing is I see a lot of drivers that if they're at the track, great, they're posting. If they're not, they're just gone. For us, we want to make sure there's no fall off. We want to make you realize you think we're racing every single weekend or we're doing something every single weekend when, we may be off for a month, but we don't want there to be any fall off in, how we're getting our brand out there. And then it goes back to, what is our plan for getting, what's our plan for this awareness? So whether it's one post a week, we're going to put it out, we're going to sponsor it to make sure, it reaches a higher audience, or we're going to go specifically into our advertisements and we're going to pick a specific market that we want to go into, especially, if there's upcoming races or we're just leaving that market, whatever it may be. But it's all about being really intentional about everything you do, especially when you have to do it at a part-time basis. So that's kind of been one of the challenges as well that we had to go overcome that we've, done a really, really good job at this year, especially with times when, I haven't been here at all. I've been in, get up and gone with the military. There was never a drop off or a lapse in that brand engagement. So that's something we've really prided ourselves on, how we can make sure that excels.
So a couple of things. I love how you're, I think, looking to other successful people and looking at what they've done and thinking about how you can emulate that, right? To hopefully achieve the same levels of success. I think that's a really smart thing to do. You mentioned some challenges, right? Obviously with time. And so I'm wondering, between everything that you both have to do, right, with all of the other things that you're involved in while still being in school, how do you find time for marketing? And Shay, maybe I'll go to you first. How do you guys divvy up the work? Are you both doing things? How does this all come together for you?
I think the biggest thing is obviously staying up with, at least on the social media side, staying up with trends. I feel like that's definitely a great way to build popularity. But then overall, just kind of just planning ahead, talking through what we're going to do. So me and Jayson talk almost every single day. And so I'll shoot ideas by him, be like, hey, what do you think about this next week or later in the week? And he'll be like, yeah, I love it. Or we'll change it in some sort of way in a successful manner. So kind of just planning ahead is our biggest thing and just staying on top of what we have to do.
I'd say that Shane and I pretty much every month we'll sit down and Shane will print out full calendar of, every single day that's going to happen that month. And we'll go through, we'll mark it up. And we'll say, all right, we'll post this day, this day, this day. This is what we're trying to aim for. Okay, we'll shoot content on this day. We'll make sure that both of our schedules are on the same page because, we're both student athletes. We're both in school. We both have very, very busy schedules. So we have to make sure that when we sit down and do something, we're actually have time to make sure to do that. And we'll budget it out. So whether it's recording content 2 months in advance for something that's going to come out months later, that's okay. But we have to make sure that's on the schedule. And we have plenty of stores filled up to where, if we feel like we need to post more, we already have content ready. We're not reusing anything. So a lot of it comes into planning and time management. And we weren't always great at that. There were times where we've been, oh my God, we have to post today. Or we need to throw something out. Or man, we haven't done something. So just learning from those experiences has been really key. And Shane mentioned we're on the phone every single day. We're texting. He's bouncing ideas off me. I'm bouncing ideas off him. I'm like, Shane, we need to do this. He's like, Jayson, you need to do this. We hold each other accountable when it comes to, again, Jayson Alexander Racing has Jayson Alexander in it, but it doesn't work without Shane. And it doesn't work without all the other people that help inside of it. It's truly a whole effort that gets it going, and it can't just be a one-person show.
Yeah, yeah. Can you guys walk me through some of the things that you're doing to market the business then? What are you doing on social? How are you moving those people to email? What does that kind of look like for you?
So some of the stuff that we do, a lot of it is advertising certain posts. So we won't put an advertisement on every single post. We have a big post that week. We will first figure out what market we want to segment that into. So whether it's a post specifically aimed at fans and to drive fan engagement, we'll figure out people that follow similar accounts, or we'll go through our ad process and then we'll blast that out there for a couple of days. So we have, when it comes to marketing, we have the marketing to fan side, which is a lot of our social media. So our Instagram, our Twitters, and our Facebooks. And then we want to market to different companies or different potential partners. We look over to our LinkedIn side. So on the LinkedIn side of things, we'll be able to run, again, we can run all this stuff through our amazing constant contact software. But then we go through and we figure out, okay, what are we looking to do in this and these LinkedIn posts? We have a great LinkedIn network full of, so many different amazing companies that we're able to go out through and advertise through. So then we'll sit down and figure out, okay, we want to put up a LinkedIn post. All right, this post is aimed at. We put up a post yesterday. It was aimed at an upcoming race that we're looking to fill a few more partners for. So we sat down, we figured out, what is that post going to look like? What are we looking to share in that post? And then, okay, great. Now we'll post it out. And who in our network that we have is going to help us reshare it. So we work a lot with other people that they work for companies, or, they have big followings, and we do a lot, and they'll help reshare a lot of our stuff. Or, we'll put an advertisement on something. So the marketing is really key. And a lot of it comes as well with, getting signups for our mailing list that we have as well. So a lot of stuff we try to do, we want to drive that engagement. Maybe we have a race coming up. So we'll do giveaways for upcoming races to get people to sign up, to get them engaged. And then we will, throw sales out there for people to sign up to and exclusively get through our mailing lists. We also are able to segment our mailing lists between, those that sign up for fan engagement side versus those who sign up more on the business side. We have, all of our sponsors, people that we've talked to, they all sign up through our mailing list. So we're able to segment that list down to where, hey, we have a race coming up. We're looking for partners. We can exclusively send out that email to just potential partners versus sending it out to, the fans on the other side. So all that, a lot of talking, but a lot of that comes into, how we segment out our marketing.
Gotcha. Shane, anything to add to that?
I mean, I think Jayson said it really, really well. I definitely think having the tools of Constant Contact has taken Jayson Alexander to the next level because of those segments or information that we can specifically get from our social media posts, our engagement with that, or our mailing list, and like seeing like the hot traces from that, where people are clicking, what they're clicking on, and kind of what they're interested in. So I definitely think having Constant Contact has really helped elevate our marketing for sure.
What we've done with a lot on social media, people try and stare at, follower counts, or stare at, they only have so many followers, so that they can't get that much engagement out of it. We see it for our account, whereas, we may have less followers than a lot of people around us. Is we see a lot of other drivers go through and they try and, buy followers, or they try and, fake their social media engagement. Well, when you go through and you actually look at their impressions and look at who's actually viewing their stuff, they may have 50,000 followers, but they're getting 10 likes on a post. That doesn't make sense. We have, 1/50th of that sometimes, but we have so much engagement through all of our posts. We have so many impressions that are coming through. All of our followers are engaged and they're activated in everything that we do, which I think is so different from a lot of other drivers that just throw up a post and they hope it goes well, when we are so specific about how we post, where we post, and what we do to drive engagement, especially on those off weeks when we're not racing.
Gotcha. So Shane, I want to go to you for a second. So, I want to get into some of the Constant Contact stuff here. So like, at a general level, like, what has that Constant Contact experience been like for you as a user?
Yeah, I definitely, like, people might think I come on here and obviously I'll be like, oh my gosh, I love Constant Contact because you guys are like kind of sponsoring us and working with us. But I really, really have had a really good experience with Constant Contact. I really do think that their tools are, like, your guys' tools are amazing, and it's really easy to use. Like, I can type out an email, social media posts, and whatnot, and it takes like a few steps just to send it. I definitely think, like, I was very intimidated coming in, just kind of thinking about, like, how does one send out marketing email to hundreds of people? But Constant Contact has definitely simplified that with all the templates they have. We've had made preset templates that we use on our weekly emails and important emails and stuff like that. There's also a really nice tool I like using, the AI. Every once in a while, like, if I keep repeating myself or repeat wording, like, AI can definitely be useful within Constant Contact, help me change around the wording and make it sound super exciting. So I definitely have enjoyed using that, and then just kind of seeing the outreach that gets with Constant Contact, like seeing how many people are impressions, and going back to, like I said, the heat traces on emails, and just overall seeing our page start up from absolutely nothing to almost hundreds of people now.
Yeah. Jayson, from your perspective, are there any notable results that you've been starting to see since using Constant Contact?
Let's say absolutely. Again, we went back to, engagement and brand awareness. Having something like Constant Contact at your disposal is massive for growing a fan base. We're able to connect with them on such a smaller level than just throwing out, a social media post. We're able to actually send them emails, follow up with them. Something big that seemed really daunting at first was kind of like the integrations and the automation side of Constant Contact. I didn't understand how any of that worked when I started. It just like sitting down and just started to use it. We're able to, send welcome emails to people who just sign up to the mailing list. If people are at our website and they have something in their cart, we're able to send them like, hey, like you're still in the cart, you can check out. We're able to send out discounts through there, follow-up emails, all the stuff is just automated and it goes immediately. All it took was sitting down for 10, 15 minutes, setting up the pipeline that you wanted to go through, and then it happened. So I've been able to see and I've been able to engage with a lot of fans. Going to the racetrack, you get to meet fans from all over. And all the reviews have been so positive. They love following on and following our journey, especially for those weeks that we're not racing. We're able to give them like, hey, what are we doing behind the scenes at Jayson Alexander Racing that maybe they don't get to see, with an average NASCAR driver. So I find that the fan engagement and the brand awareness has just grown so much more than when we were just out there just throwing out social media posts. Again, like we get to run all our social media through the Constant Contact software. We get to plan out our posts. We get to blast it out simultaneously across our programs. We're able to actually, figure out the advertisements and figure out, what are our goals for this inside of all the software. So my first thing going into Constant Contact was like, oh, like it's email marketing. Great. Okay, we'll have a mailing list. Awesome. But yeah, it's so much more than that. I would say, setting up emails is a massive part, but if you truly just open up to see how much is available at your fingertips, it's been really awesome to see. Like Shane and I it wasn't easy always learning it at first, but we figured it out and it's been awesome seeing all the stuff we're able to do is just run it all through the program.
Shane, how often are you sending emails now? And what's the content that's in those emails?
So our goal right now is trying to send out weekly emails. It's been a little tough because I've kind of been away for the last few weeks. I'm doing schoolwork. I've been on a trip with that. But I mean, otherwise, other than that, like our goal is send out weekly emails, kind of let people know who Jayson is and kind of like connect with him personally. I know we talked about that on a marketing side and fan base side of that, but like specifically what we're doing is like taking them into Jayson's personal life. Like we've talked about his military and what he's doing with that, which is absolutely amazing. And I couldn't be more proud of him and really thank him for all of that. But kind of talking about what's his journey through that. We're getting ready to go send out another weekly email here soon talking about his lacrosse and being a student athlete at the same time. So, I mean, our main goal with emails is obviously keep people up to date with everything going on at Jayson Alexander Racing, but make them connected and then just overall like make them seem like they're a part of one big Jayson Alexander Racing family.
I think you're using polls in your emails. How have you been using those?
Yeah, definitely. I think one main tool I've used polls for is like seeing what the people want. So specifically, remember putting out a poll for merchandise. So kind of seeing what the people want and what they really desire is really important because that'll help drive our merchandise sales, which is one of our main goals here at Jayson Alexander Racing.
Would either of you say, do you have a favorite feature so far that you've been exposed to? Jayson, I'll go to you.
Really love being able to run all our social media through it. I know Shane has been really big in kind of running a lot of our social media and being able to make a post on Constant Contact and make it replicate across all these different forums instead of having to go post on one, then go post on the other, then go post on the other. I think that's been, really key for us to really streamline everything. It's a big time saver. Again, we mentioned time. We never enough time to do everything. So that really helps us out a lot. And I go back to a lot is being able to actually segment the people who sign up for your mailing list. We're able to track, we run an event, we're able to track how many signups that event gave us. Like when we had the booth at Charlotte, we're able to track X amount of people signed up to the booth there. We send out an email, we can track who signed up through there. We put out a social media post doing a giveaway, we can track who signed up through there. We have our LinkedIn, who signed up through there. So like when it comes to us sending out specific emails or trying to market ourselves to specific groups, we now have all this information from our fingertips. We can just pick our segment and send the email out to it, send the post out to it. So that's why it's just super easy, those tools.
Shane, how about you on your side? Anything stand out to you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, those are definitely two great things I really appreciate. I love the aspect of being able to save templates for like our weekly emails. I already talked about this, but I don't have to go through every single week and kind of replicate what we made it look like the previous week. I can go in and just start typing away and adding our new weekly email. And so that kind of also goes back to marketing and making Jayson Alexander Racing set itself apart from others. So seeing that consistency is really, really key for us. I can go through and it will look the same every single week and people like know what to look for and where they can find certain information is really, really key. And then also, like I talked about, the AI tool is really useful. Like I can use several different tones. I can be excited or like make announcements or like try to inform people with different voices with AI. And like, I'll tell it what I want to say. It's really, really awesome. Kind of seeing how we started, me and Jason talked about, we had no clue what it was coming in, and it's now become this huge big thing that has just been really, really successful.
One of the coolest tools that actually like you get to that you don't have to use you don't have to use too often, but is really awesome is there is kind of the brand kit tool. Like for us, kind of we were like we're launching our partnership with Constant Contact at the same time we were making a website. We were able to pull all of that content in from the website super easily, just putting in the URL. And then we had all the pictures, the medias, the colors, everything that we could then use right back into our emails with Constant Contact. So that's one of the coolest things possible to keep everything the same across the whole board. It takes 2 clicks, super easy, copy paste, and then you have all your amazing, your library and your content in front of you. So that's been something that was really, really cool and super helpful for us to get off the ground and start making these emails and templates.
I also like the reporting. I enjoy looking back through that every single week, kind of just seeing a brief overview of how we're doing in certain segments like emails or social media and just overall engagement in different areas is also really awesome.
How are you guys thinking about incorporating SMS into things?
That's definitely something really, really big. I think that really will help our brand come to the next level. SMS is definitely one way to like personally connect with people because you think about it, people are always on their phones. Like emails are really, really great, but they might not get to people right away. Like people might have junk email accounts and stuff like that. So SMS goes directly to people's home screens and they can see it right away. So me and Jason, when we sat down at the start of the season and we talked about what we want to do with Constant Contact, we think that SMS would be a great tool to kind of keep people notified about races or important announcements. So we could be like, hey, Jason is racing on this date and make sure to tune in at this time. Or you can keep them updated right before the race. Like, hey, Jason's starting in 10th position and he's starting here in about 30 minutes. Like tune in to Fox Sports 1 and just keeping people like even more up to date with like real world notifications.
Super easy with SMS to go ahead and shoot out a link to the merchandise store. Like, hey, we got a sale going on, 10% off summer sale. Boom, here's the link. Or great, hey, you want to come to the race? Here's a link to buy tickets. Super easy stuff. Like that happens. Like when I get SMS texts all the time through, different things when I bought from different companies that you have SMS through them as well. Like there's been several times where I've gotten a text. I'm like, oh, yeah, they got a sale going on. Why? I'll go check it out. It's right to my phone. So using stuff like that is really, really key again to just grow your engagement with your fans. That's one of the easiest ways because sometimes it takes a while for them to go through the emails and check their emails. They're not always getting every single notification, but they always get the text. The text always comes first. So that's something that can be used to really help grow out that engagement.
As you're starting to get more and more into this and you're starting to see the things that you're able to accomplish by using Constant Contact, what do you think it would be like trying to run the business without Constant Contact? I'll go to you, Jason.
I don't think it'd be very fun. We have so much stuff now put in the Constant Contact and we run all of our stuff through it. And it's become, like I mentioned, like a part of our identity. Again, Jayson Alexander Racing, Constant Contact, that's one and the same, for either through brand awareness or just, what we run all of our business through. I think it's just been a massive help. And I think without Constant Contact at the start of this year, even if we would have done the same amount of races, I don't think our brand engagement would be anywhere near what it is now. I think it's just added a completely different layer to us, as a team and as a driver that most fans don't ever get to see. So it's been really awesome just seeing giving them pull the curtains back and give them kind of a view behind the door of how we operate, as well as just being able to continue to keep the content going, continue to keep up engagement. I think it's been, absolutely wonderful. And I think if we had to go without it, I think it'd be so much work to try and replicate all the stuff that Constant Contact does for us. To try and do that ourselves just wouldn't be feasible.
Shane, anything to add to that?
No, definitely. I think without Constant Contact, we'd be a bunch of people with our chickens with their head cut off for sure. We'd be running around all over the place, not knowing what to do, trying to build up our brand. So I think that Constant Contact has really allowed us to elevate our game for sure, and just kind of making us stand out from the others, especially at the ARCA level, which is certainly not as popular as the Cup Series. But with Constant Contact, I think that our marketing and the tools with that has allowed us to basically stand with those top tier drivers in NASCAR.
Based on everything that you've kind of learned and have started to figure out now, if there was, let's say there was somebody else at school thinking about starting their own business, what would be the number one thing that you would say to them now? Jason, I'll start with you.
I would say sit down and make a plan of what you're actually trying to do. Something I've learned a lot is, visualize your end goal. Where are you trying to get to? Okay, great. Now you got to backtrack and figure out the steps that it takes to get there. And I would say, planning out what you actually need in each of those steps to be successful is huge. So like for us, like, okay, we want to grow. If our goal is to grow brand engagement, okay, how do we do that? Okay, we have to get fans to sign up here, or we need to, put advertisements here, or figure out our social media here. Like you have to actually put a plan in place. And I'd say like that's something I'd highly recommend, like is actually use, program like Constant Contact. Like that could be massive for getting your business out there. A lot of companies are able to sell, especially when you're selling stuff and putting out stuff through Constant Contact. It's so easy. From people that I know that also use Constant Contact, especially on on the store side, they're able to import all of their customers easily into Constant Contact with one click of a button. And then great, they can send out emails to them from there, and they can do all this stuff through the program that allows it. So especially for startup businesses with there, like you really got to figure out what your plan is going to be, what your end goal is going to be. And you must figure out the steps along the way and what tools do you need to accomplish your goals, because you want to make sure you do it right and you don't rush through it.
Shane, anything from your perspective?
Yeah, I definitely think that people need to, one of the first steps is just building a brand. I definitely think that like you can go out there and you can be like, this is my company, this is my logo, but like, what else are you going to do other than that? You got to have a plan for, like Jayson said, have a plan for everything and have an identity out there that sets you apart from others is really, really key. And so people know who you are, what you do.
Well, friend, let's recap some items from that discussion. Number 1, build credibility through consistency, especially when you're not always on. Jayson and Shane don't race every week, but their audience never forgets about them. By mapping out a content calendar and sticking to a consistent posting and email schedule, they maintain visibility and engagement even during gaps. So even if you're seasonal, consistency becomes your secret weapon. Number 2, segment your audiences to create more meaningful outreach. Jayson and Shane separate fans from sponsors in their email list, so each audience gets content tailored to their interests. Whether it's announcing a new race or offering a merch discount, it's relevant to the recipient. This segmentation has helped increase conversions and engagement, so think through your most important audiences. Number 3, use planning to overcome limited time. Between school and sports, time is tight, but they've found success by batching content creation, setting goals for each month, and assigning clear responsibilities. Planning allows them to stay ahead even when life gets busy. The lesson is simple. You've got to plan the work you care about. So here's your action item for today. Use Constant Contact segmentation tools to separate your list into at least 2 meaningful groups, like customers and prospects or fans and partners. Then create one email tailored to each group. Doesn't have to be complicated, just relevant. Doing this helps your audience feel like you're speaking directly to them, and that leads to stronger results. I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Be a Marketer podcast. Please take a moment to leave us a review. Just go to ratethispodcast.com/BAM. Your honest feedback will help other small business marketers like yourself find the show. That's ratethispodcast.com/BAM. Well, friend, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day and continued success to you and your business.